Okay, so you're very welcome back to Caracon. Today I'm just going to do a quick video on some of the more commonly asked questions about the divide. So when people come here to see the divide live, these are the most common questions that we get asked, and it's just to give you guys a bit more detail about the actual split itself.
Before we start, the first question I have is, why did you set the dogs up this way?
The reason the dogs are set up like this is the easiest way to do them. Okay, so I have Lee and Lynn are my two strongest dogs, and I put them on this side of the sheep. I've put the two weaker dogs on the furthest outside of the sheep. That's Jess and Rose. Jess basically has nothing to do. She's completely out of the equation, really. She's just there to learn. The two older dogs are what does all the work here. They actually split the sheep. Rose has a slightly step back role from the older two. All she has to do is move the sheep forward. Move the sheep forward through this gap here in between the two older dogs. Okay, so the two older dogs then will move on the sides of the sheep, either side, left and right of the sheep, and they'll split them off. And then they will come in between this gap here where Rose has pushed the sheep through and close off the gate.
Okay, so what we have then is actually the two dogs being like a gate's a good way for me to think about it.
Exactly, yeah. So they're essentially a gate, the two older dogs.
Okay, so you're moving Rose and you're moving Lynn now, but Lee hasn't moved. So what are we trying to do here?
What I was trying to do there is I was trying to move Rose to push the sheep forward. Okay. But as you can see there, Lee is further back than Lynn. Lynn, I should have her further out to the left hand side of the sheep. That's probably maybe my fault a little bit more so than the dogs. I'm at this stage I'm slightly set up wrong. Okay, so Lee and Lynn should be kind of a mirror image of each other. So as you can see at this point, Lee is about 4 or 5 yards behind Lynn. If Lee was 4 or 5 yards forward, it would equally as well work.
Oh, okay. So our gate has to be kind of in a straight line.
Our two pillars must be straight. They must go between the two of them. If I don't, at this stage, if the sheep started to divide on me, the likelihood is all the sheep would come in.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to get to stop them because the dog wouldn't be quick enough. You'd have essentially, if they started to move in this direction here, it's all on Lee to stop all the sheep. Lynn is of no further use to me. She's actually in the wrong position.
Oh, she's gotten too far in now.
She's too far behind them. Saying there something about Lynn in the wrong position.
Yeah.
So what I've done now is I'm going to move Lee forward here to try and compensate for my mistake, putting Lynn too far forward. So I'm going to bring in Lee, and move her forward.
Okay.
But in doing that, you'll see now in a second what I've done in doing that is I've actually now got all three dogs too tight in the sheep. So you can see the sheep are all jumpy now. They're all agitated. They don't like the dogs being this close to them. And there's nowhere for them to go.
And is this why the sheep are kind of moving around now?
Exactly. So the sheep are trying to get out of there.
They're trying to find a gap.
And I put the dogs too tight. So now what I'm doing now is I'm bringing away the dogs away from them. So I've made a bigger gap.
Oh, okay. You're trying to make room now.
Exactly. So at a minute, I've got Lee and Lynn now again repositioned, exactly in line with each other. Rose at the back of them here, and she's going to put on the pressure now. Now the sheep have room to go. They start to come out.
Yeah.
Again, the two dogs in line. Now I say stand in. And that'll stop the gate. They'll close the gate.
Okay, so now we have two groups and everybody's steady.
Exactly. So I've settled down the sheep now, and I'm using the three dogs to hold the remainder out. The ones that have run off into the pin here behind us, they can't come out either.
And how do the dogs know which group of sheep they need to concentrate on now?
Because I said stand out.
Oh, so they have to go forward now. They have to go away from you.
So out is out the field.
Okay.
Out is out away from me always. And if I had said come on away,
they'd come back towards
you.
Come
in with this bundle of sheep. As we did in the other videos with the divides, you'd see them, sometimes they say, come on away, and that brings the dogs with me or closer to me. When I say out, I mean to go out the field.
Okay, so all we're going to do then is just gather them up into two contained groups now. So we've one group that are in the ring and we've got a group that are up here with you.
Exactly. So I've split the sheep now, and if I wanted to bring either group away,
you could.
I could work the dogs now to push the group out the field, out the field, way out to the back of the field, and leave this group here. Or I could bring back dogs and bring out this group out the field if I wanted to.
Okay, and will the sheep tend to want to come back together now?
Sheep will always want to stay together.
Okay, so you have to do a bit of work to keep them.
They don't ever want to be split up. There's safety in numbers.
Okay.
They always want to be together. Especially if they get isolated individually, they'll very much want to be together. They definitely don't want to be isolated on their own.
Okay. Excellent. That's very interesting. Thank you, Greg.